Welcome to the Pocatello Business Podcast, the only Pocatello podcast focused on providing profits for Pocatello people. If you love our town and love small business, you are in the right place. We interview local legends, learn business, and have way too much fun doing it. You're listening to the Pocatello Business Podcast with your friend, host, all-around great guy, and owner of New Clean Commercial Cleaning, Spencer Ward.
All right, everyone, we are back again with the Pocatello Business Podcast. We are with, again, she was been on an episode last year, and we wanted her back so bad that we begged and pleaded for her to come back, and she agreed. But her name is Mariana Lacombe. She's a founder and CEO at Quantum Evolution. She's a serial entrepreneur and investor, and part of the Forbes Coaches Council Contributor. So did I get all that right? That's kind of a mouthful, Mariana.
You did. Yes, you're good. Thank you, Spencer.
And she's also a person. Yeah, is also a personal friend of mine. She's helped me a lot with my business ventures, and so I have firsthand experiences with her, and she is amazing. So.
Thank you so much. You are amazing. So I miss our conversations for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Mariana, it's a new year. Everyone's setting resolutions. Everyone's trying to get better themselves, either personally or and I'm sure they also have goals within their profession. What in your expertise, what are you seeing from this? What people do?
That is a really great question. What I do, right, is to help business owners, entrepreneurs, right, take massive leaps in growth, right? Yeah. And one of the principles of doing that is goal setting, right? We are always setting goals. We are always focusing on a bigger vision. Most people naturally do that in the new years, right? So they're visualizing the goal, they're visualizing how 2021 will be different than 2020. They're excited. So there is like this milestone when people really stop and think about what else could be done, or what could be different, or what could be better. And well, as I'm working with people, you probably know that we do that all the time, right? We're always setting goals and always creating different milestones for the future. And that's an ongoing process. Now, that's not what people do when there's a new year. They kind of sit down maybe a day before the new year, or, the following week, basically, and then they start like setting this huge list of goals and things that have to be different or could be different. And sometimes there are big promises like, I'm gonna be a completely different person, right? And there's a lot of excitement there because there's a party, we're celebrating, it's a holiday. Fine, fantastic. Exactly. Okay, so that's an illusion, right? The illusion is that everything will be different in January 1st. Everything will be unique, or you will become somebody else. And when we were talking about that, right, Spencer, you invited me to talk about goals for 2021, New Year's resolutions, how to create New Year's resolutions. And I told you it's too late. That's true. It's too late because I told you that, like, for me, I'm pretty sure that 90% of all New Year's resolutions already failed. And funny enough, this week I saw an article in the Harvard Business Review saying actually that 92% of all New Year resolutions that they were interviewing people, they already failed. So it's even worse. The scenario is even worse than I thought. So that is a big thing, right? When we look back and we really understand how people behave and how people change or how people improve, it doesn't happen all of a sudden. It's not because it's just a new day that you're going to change. In fact, we live in repetition. We are always living in repetition. The probability that tomorrow is going to be pretty much like today is very high. It is very high, right? So
Yeah.
even neuroscientists, they say that what we think, what we feel, and what we do every single day is at least 90% exactly the same of what we've done yesterday.
That's true.
So think about that, right? Imagine like when you wake up, from the moment you wake up, all the things that you do, all the things that you think, and all the things that you feel will be basically the same thing as yesterday. So how come, it's January now. How come today, will be completely different than tomorrow? It's definitely not. So
Wishful
that's an
thinking.
illusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wishful thinking, I said.
Yeah. So that is important just to know, because so many people, they feel very excited about a new year, when normally the opportunity to improve something is available every day,
Hmm.
every single day. It's not because it's a new year, it's because it's a new day. So what's really important, for a person that's setting goals, is to have this big vision for the whole year, which is not a goal itself, and commit to incremental improvements every single day, like improving constantly every single day, even if it's 1% of improvement, let's say, every single day, so that this improvement is consistent, instead of you just feeling very frustrated right off the bat, right in the beginning of the year, and giving up on your dreams and giving up on your goals. Does it make sense?
Yeah. Well, it's similar to people saying, "Hey, I'm going to start my diet Monday," and it's
That's
Wednesday.
exactly the same thing. Exactly. It's the same thing. Instead of saying, I'm going to start my diet right now,
Yep.
it's noon. And you know what? From now on, so that means maybe my snack, or maybe my dinner will be already different.
Yep.
And we keep kind of, just transferring that to a future
Yep.
that's just not available, right? So the key is really to understand that if you're not aware of what you're doing right now, your right now will be exactly like tomorrow. That means, like, using this example of the diet, you're going to do exactly the same thing that you just did yesterday.
Yep.
And then tomorrow you're going to be doing probably the same thing. And then it's the famous Monday. And then on Monday you're going to be doing the same thing as Sunday,
Yep.
where you gave yourself permission to have whatever you wanted to.
Hmm.
So we just have to listen that we are always living in repetition, and that's part of human nature. Imagine if we were not. Imagine if every day would be absolutely different and unique, and all the thoughts that you had, or your behaviors or your feelings, were absolutely unique. It would be very overwhelming.
It would be.
Right. So there's a lot of comfort in the known realm, even though it's uncomfortable. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it's comfortable because it's known, and at the same time it's uncomfortable because it's not ideal. Got it?
It's true.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that's important for people to know, right? If for
Yeah.
any reason, whoever is listening to this, set a New Year resolution and still haven't done anything about it, it's now, right? What was that? Look back, look at your list of goals, look at things that you really wanted to improve, and make a decision now. Decide what is the one thing that you will do that will change the 10%, excuse me, 10% of different things that you're going to do. What about 11%? What about 15%? What
Yeah.
could that be instead of 100? Because otherwise you're not
Yeah.
going to be able to succeed.
Exactly. I just had another episode a couple weeks ago, just about overwhelming ourselves with so many goals at the New Year's.
True.
Sometimes people have these massive lists, and I've decided I've got to have a list of maybe 2 to 3, no more than 5 things I want to work on this year, because it gets overwhelming, like you said. So you can't go to 100%.
That is true. That is true as well. That's why I love to always, whenever I'm setting goals or even helping other people set goals, I like to see the vision. And a key question for you to see the vision, or how 2021 will look like, is to pretty much ask yourself, what would I love to be celebrating in December?
Yeah.
What would I love to be celebrating on December 31st? What would be fantastic? And then you will come up with some things, and it will be not this huge list of things, and sometimes it can be something very simple, such as I want my family to be healthy. I want to be with the people that I love. I want to feel financially free. Not necessarily setting big, hairy, audacious goals, but it's almost the vision. And then it
Yeah.
really helps to see what can be improved right now, because maybe even like I have so many people saying that all that they want to celebrate is to be more present with their families. And this is already available now,
Yeah.
right? So imagine you setting this vision for the whole year when you can already live this vision in the now. So this is a really powerful question that helps you a lot, and especially also to have perspective of what's going to happen in the future,
Hmm.
so that you know what's the priority right now. I think that's a really nice uh, idea, or a really nice way to help people set goals for the year without feeling overwhelmed.
I like that. I like that because yeah, people, and I say people, I mean myself. I've done that over and over again. It's just it's the very definition of insanity. You do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, and you're thinking this year's going to be different because I've got all this excitement behind me. But you forget last year you had the same excitement as well. So
Yes, yes, because it's a special time of the year, right?
yep,
Everybody changes, their states. Even though 2020 was a very challenging year for so many people, there is a different feeling of hope and faith and compassion and love as we approach the holidays. So there's that too, right? From this
yep,
beautiful state, we feel like a superhero
hmm,
that can do everything at the same time, when normally, right, we are always reliving the past. We are constantly reliving the past, right? So
yep.
that is something to understand and to even to appreciate, in order for you to be aware of what you keep doing that's not fulfilling, that's not satisfying, that has to be changed immediately.
I like that. What advice would you give to our listeners as they get up that following day and they're saying, you know what, today, no matter what, is the day? How do they change their state? You know, of what they were yesterday and wanting to be that better person today and being that happiness and everything else that they want. How do they start to change their own state?
Yeah, that's a really, really nice question. Well, there are many different ways for you to change your state. And basically, there are three pillars that really change your state. Let's imagine you wake up and you wake up in a state of anxiety, right? So when you're anxious, or when you're depressed or sad, which is kind of the other
Hmm.
uh, polarity, right? Of
Yeah.
like one feeling and the other. Let's say you're anxious. Um, well, you usually have we experience the physiology, so you can notice your body reacting a certain way. Maybe you can feel your heart beating faster. Maybe you're feeling like some butterflies in your stomach. Maybe there's a headache. Maybe that's your throat. So there's something in your physiology that makes you realize that you are anxious. And then there's also where you're focusing on. So for example, if you're anxious, you're probably focusing on the future and what you have to do, and the many things you have to do, and how you're going to do it. There's an obsession over the future, right? So you're focusing on the future. And then the other thing is the language that you use. So you would say, I'm so anxious. When you create that language, when you use that language, you're just confirming your state. So I'm anxious, or I don't know what to do. I'm overwhelmed. I'm not enough, or I don't know what I'm doing. What if it doesn't work? There are many things that we say to ourselves over and over again that just reinforces the state of anxiety.
Hmm.
So, in order for you to change that state, you can change any of the things that I just shared with you. So you can change your physiology, which is actually the easiest way for you to change your state. It's impossible for you, for someone who is anxious, to watch something funny online and start laughing and smiling. Anxiety is gone
Yep.
right there
Yep.
on the spot. You can just dance, you can use music to dance and move your body. You can play with your kids. You can use play to change your state. So immediately you remove yourself from a feeling of anxiety, and then all of a sudden you are experiencing a state of joy or maybe peace. Even if you decide to calm your mind and meditate a little bit, that also changes your physiology. So physiology is the easiest way, or simply to stand up. Sometimes I'm working with people and I can notice that they're in a bad state. I ask them to stand up, and we stand up and we do the call or the conversation as we are walking. That's very helpful, right?
Yeah.
So physiology is one, and the second one is definitely where you're focusing on. So you just ask yourself, what am I focusing on? Am I focusing on the things I can control or the things that I cannot control? Am I focusing on the future or on the past, or am I focusing on the now and what is available to me right now? Am I focusing on the solution or am I focusing on the problem? So you can immediately reframe that. And, like, let's say if you're focusing on the problem and you're moving to the solution, you move from a state of anxiety to a state of resourcefulness, right? So that is the other thing. And the third one is the language that you use. So that's why I love, powerful affirmations about yourself, powerful affirmations about your beliefs, such as, for example, instead of asking, what if it doesn't work? You change the language immediately and you say, it is going to work, it has to work, and I'm going to make it work. So it immediately kind of, again, changes your state and makes you experience something that's more resourceful, right? So I think that, working with your physiology, with your focus and your language dramatically affects the way you experience your state, and then normally your results as well.